Hey guys, welcome to another episode of DFS Jags fantasy football stream. I am Riku Mukherjee once again, joined by my co-host Chris Caldwell over here on my left-hand side. We are going to be talking about Week 13 in the NFL season. We are going to be talking about all you guys getting ready for the fantasy playoffs. If you need a win this week to get into the fantasy playoffs, if you need a win to secure a first round bye, or if you're just playing for the for the shits and giggles of it, if you're in last place, who knows? Maybe you got some side bets with some friends that you need to get a win this week. So we're here to answer your questions. Please join the live chat. Leave your question. We will answer it. I promise, 100%. Yeah, Chris, how you doing?
I'm awesome, man. Ready for fantasy playoffs. Not only do we need to get in, we need to position ourselves for that big paycheck at the end of the year. So it's
Yep.
nice to get in, but usually the pay differential, if you do a paid league, is a lot different from first to fourth. So we'll try to get you guys hooked up to bring home that title.
Are all your leagues starting playoffs next week? Or do you have any leagues that start playoffs week
I, I'm
16?
I'm in 9 leagues, and I think every single one starts week 15.
Yeah, same here. The only league that I'm in one 10-person league that the playoffs start week 16. So that's about it. But every other one is top six, and then the first two teams get buys, I believe. And that's usually probably the best format, I think. I mean, if you're playing in a 12-person league, I think it makes it the most fair. It's kind of like structured like the NFL playoffs are before they expanded to 7 teams. But I like that format. Top two teams get a bye, and then the other four teams battle it out the first week of the playoffs.
Yeah, my absolute favorite is top two get a bye, next three in seeding get in, and then the sixth one is best points that isn't in that group.
Yeah, I like that too. Actually, I don't play in a league like that, but I kind of want to do that as a change maybe the league that I'm a commissioner for to that next year. I kind of like that format. That takes away some of the luck that you have as a good team all year, and you just go up against tough teams all year and get scored on and don't have a good record.
You want to hear something funny? In one of the leagues that I'm commissioner in, my work league, I'm in like ninth or 10th place, and I'm like third in the league in points, and I'm not going to make the playoffs. But I should have made my own favorite rule the rule in my league. So lesson learned for
Yeah,
next year.
yeah, that's bad. That sucks. That means your points against must be terrible.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is like it's on sleeper, so we actually have one of the wins a week versus the median,
Oh,
and
geez.
I'm still in ninth. Like I think I lose every week, like by a couple points. It's just
That
pretty
sucks.
unlucky. But anyway,
All right. Before we get into the recap of last week, we are going to touch base with you guys again about our giveaway. We are doing a free giveaway for you guys. The prize is a $500 gift card to Fanatics. If you're not familiar with Fanatics, they're a website where you can
awesome.
buy pretty much memorabilia, jerseys, cups, any sort of like anything pretty much resembling your favorite team. You can pretty much go to any team that you support. If you're a Jets fan, if you're an Orioles fan, whatever team you support, you just go to Fanatics, type in that team name, and they'll show you everything that they sell. But we're giving away a free $500 gift card to that. The drawing is going to be December 19th on the podcast with Mike. So tune in for that to see if you won. And to enter in the contest, click the link in the description of this video, and then tell us a holiday memory, and you will be entered into the drawing to win the gift card. And then you can win additional entries. One of the ways to win additional entries is a bonus code that we will give away on this show. And then just stay tuned on the show. We'll give you the bonus code. You'll get more entries into the contest and see if you can get that gift card. Our
We'll give it
gift
away
card.
after like our second or third game today.
Yep. Last week we were a little late on that, but we forgot about it. But this week we'll make sure we give it to you guys in about 10-15 minutes. But our giveaway is sponsored by the company Auto. Mike's going to run a little clip to tell you guys about the company. They're nice enough to do our sponsors. So Mike, go ahead and take it away.
40% of the cars on the road hold a hidden history. With the Auto app, you simply photograph any car, and using our AI license plate recognition technology, you'll instantly have accident, sales, and owner data from multiple sources at your fingertips. If you work in the car industry or are simply buying a used car, use Auto to get the full picture. Search Auto, spelled O-R-T-O, on the App Store.
All right, and we're back. Once again, thank you to the company Auto for sponsoring our gift card giveaway. Once again, tune in, stay tuned in the show, be active with us in the chat, ask your questions. We will answer them to get you guys geared up for the playoffs, and we'll give away the bonus code in a few minutes. All right, let's jump into.
Just remember, every video that we do, Rick and I, there's a bonus code. So last week's video, this week's video, next week's video, you'll get a bonus code. So lots of different ways to enter and try to win that $500 gift card.
Yep, it's just a couple clicks, guys. And then additionally to that, if you guys enter in the contest, please subscribe to our channel. We are trying to grow this channel. We've grown it a lot over the season. We want to keep it going. Me and Chris will continue to do football shows throughout the year, even during the off season. And then, of course, me and Tony will be doing a golf show every week when the season kicks back up in about a month. Speaking of golf, little Tiger Woods news today. I'm wearing my Nike Red. He's going to be playing in the PNC Championship next week, so it's nice to see him back out on the course. So I'm excited about that.
What I heard he was playing. I didn't realize it was next week.
Yeah, it's next week. Him and his son are going to play together. They played in it last year together. There was rumors. Obviously, he was hitting balls last week at his event. On the driving range, and saying all that stuff about how he's feeling better. So there's rumors that he was going to play, but he actually committed to the event. So it'll be nice to see Tiger back out on the course with Charlie next week. Ripping it up. He's my idol. He's my favorite golfer of all time. So it'll be exciting. But yeah, let's jump into football. Week 13. Let's first talk about the Thursday night game. Cowboys and Saints. Cowboys go into New Orleans. I believe they were a touchdown favorite. Yeah, they were a touchdown favorite. They win the game by 10. They cover the spread. Pretty interesting game, I guess. It was a little boring. The Saints didn't really get anything going on offense. Taysom Hill got hurt. He hurt his pinky on his throwing hand in this game. They just couldn't get anything going on offense, to be completely honest. And the Cowboys just scored enough points to win this game by 10. So what did you see in this game, Chris?
Yeah. Biggest takeaway for me from this game was Taysom Hill, not really looking great, being hurt, throwing 4 interceptions, QB4 on the week. So it tells you all you need to know about Taysom Hill. Doesn't matter how ugly it is. Doesn't matter what weapons he has. It's just with someone with a skill set like him that's going to be used as the primary goal line back, and it's going to be used to pick up those, 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 1s. It's just fantasy gold. So don't overthink it with Taysom Hill. He's a, top 10 to 12 QB rest of the way with that rushing upside that he offers. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a theme today that it's just really, it's showing that you need the rushing ability as a quarterback if you want to be a high-end performer in fantasy football. So
I think he was the besides Lamar and Jalen Hurts, I think he was the 3rd quarterback all year to rush for 100 yards. I think that's what I saw.
Nice. Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
So yeah, he of course, he was and the funny thing is he actually missed a wide open touchdown. I think it was to Traquan Smith. He should have had another touchdown as well in his stat line. So don't overthink Taysom Hill. I mean, absolutely, if he's on your waiver wire, you need to pick him up. And I think he's very streamable and definitely top 12 option rest of the way. Other things with the Saints, I have this, I like to look for weird stats and things that I definitely didn't expect. So this one really threw me off. Okay, hear me out here. Since week 8, so halfway point of the season, the Saints have 3 wide receiver 3s or better in fantasy football. I was really shocked because, Trevor Siemian was in there for a while.
Yeah.
It just didn't make sense. But yeah, Traquan Smith since week 8 is wide receiver 27. Deontay Harris is wide receiver 28. and Marquez Callaway is wide receiver 33.
Interesting.
I don't know what I'm getting at with that, because I'm not dying to start any of those guys. I just thought that was pretty interesting that even with, the poor quarterback play, they've kind of been supporting some fantasy options there.
Callaway, he wasn't doing anything. I just feel like for a few weeks in a row, he was just catching a touchdown.
Yeah,
that was basically like yardage wise. I think it's all been like Harris and Traquan Smith, but Callaway is just the red zone target that they had for a while. And that, like you said, most of that was under Trevor Siemian. So with Taysom Hill now, I don't really know if that's. I mean, are you trying to say that in a pinch you could start out a Saints wide receiver?
no, it was just kind of a silly stat. I wasn't getting at anything. I just thought that was pretty shocking, that they were supporting 3 top 36 tight ends with that quarterback play. But anyway,
what are your thoughts on Alvin Kamara coming back with Taysom Hill at quarterback? He's still RB1 in your eyes, or RB2?
Yeah, top 10 option.
Top 10 option.
Yeah, okay. I mean, who else do they have to go to? I mean, You would have to think that Taysom learned from last year that he wasn't throwing him the ball enough. I mean, even if he gets Kamara the ball 3 times a game, I would say in the air, top 10 option. Yeah.
They have a really juicy matchup this week against the Jets. I think you got to play Taysom. You got to play Alvin Kamara if he plays. I think those are definitely go-to guys in fantasy this week.
Against the Jets, I mean, Taysom's floor is probably like QB 8 this week. I mean, He's guaranteed to get in the end zone 2 to 3 times. But anyway, I thought the QB finishes this week, Taysom was QB 4. Also in the top 10, you had Zach Wilson, Jared Goff, Ben Roethlisberger, Gardner Minshew, and then of course our favorite guy, Kirk Cousins. So quarterback's pretty shaky this year, man. There's not really anyone like running away with the quarterback finishes this year. It's I don't know. Whoever went early at quarterback's probably regretting it. I bet your team is typically not that good because the high end QBs haven't really been finishing that well.
Gardner Minshew was the DFS darling last week. He won. He was in the Millie Maker lineup. Both the $20 one and the $100 one. He won somebody $1 million last week.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Talk to me about the Cowboys. I mean, pretty normal game from them, I think.
Yeah, except something that stood out for me with them, CeeDee Lamb with 13 targets, Amari Cooper with 2.
Yeah.
Help me out here because they play the football team this coming week. I have Amari Cooper in 2 leagues where I need to win the game, and I don't know what to do with them because football team is like dead last in the NFL DVOA against wide receivers. And
I was just about to say that you can't bench a wide receiver against the Washington football team. I mean, you have to play them. The Saints have a good secondary. I mean, you can say that. So I think this week you have to play all Cowboys receivers.
Yeah, man, it's just worrisome that Lamb had 13 targets. I think Gallup had 8 or 9, and Schultz is continuously a part of the offense. Pollard and Zeke get looks. I mean, I don't know what's up with Cooper, man. It's like I know he like continuously just like plays hurt, but it's really worrisome, especially because they should win that game against football team. I wonder if they just like lay off of him, give him a break. I
mean, it could also be the fact that we heard reports that he was still having COVID symptoms on like I don't know what it was like Tuesday of that week, so he could have been maybe a little sick. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, Amari Cooper, I'm definitely going to be paying really close attention to his practice reports. I really hope he practices in full all week. Other than that, Tony Pollard, man, he's it. I just wish he was a RB1 somewhere because he is so freaking talented and he's so fun to watch run. Had another long touchdown this week. Yeah, and other than that, I just want to shout out to a defensive player real quick. Micah Parsons is unreal, dude.
He's a beast, man. He's so good.
I think he's the runaway defensive rookie of the year, and he's definitely if TJ Watt wasn't borderline Christ, then I think that Micah Parsons would be in the running for defensive player of the year. But even with Watt missing 2 or 3 games, his stats are unreal.
Why is Ezekiel Elliott starting over Tony Pollard? Please, is it just because of money? Like, I don't get it.
We said this preseason, didn't we? I mean, it's like,
Pollard's better than him. He's clearly better than him.
Yeah, I mean, especially this point of the season. I mean, Zeke's there. He's, he is a good goal line back. He's trustworthy. He doesn't fumble. He's, I'm sure, in with Dak and the coaching staff at this point. Jerry Jones is too proud of a person to pay someone all that money and then 2 years later, not give him the playing time. But with all things considered, Tony Pollard's definitely the more explosive player. I'm not saying he's more effective across the board. Zeke's a bigger back and probably more trustworthy, but Tony Pollard's unreal, dude. I just really wish he was on a team in a starting role.
Do you think Zeke will be a first round pick next year
in fantasy?
Yeah,
I couldn't do it.
I don't think you could do it, right? Like I think even
do you want me to say, okay, here's Zeke next year. Here's Zeke next year. James Conner this year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, I think your hope. So James Conner is running back 10 right now this year, and he just literally can't stay out of the end zone. So I think that's Zeke next year. Like if you luck into, 10 or 12 touchdowns, which he could easily do, you'll be running back 8, 9, 10. I think that's what we're looking for next year. So,
all right. You have anything else from this game? Dalton Schultz continues to, put up numbers. I don't really have much else from this game. Dak looked all right.
Yeah, I think Dalton Schultz, I think he proved us both wrong. We both kind of hated on him, right? When he kind of broke out and was doing well at the beginning of the year. He's tight end 5 right now. Geez, I still can't believe it. But hey, give credit where credit's due. I don't have him in any leagues because I was a hater, but yeah, good for him.
Yeah. All right.
We have one question in the chat.
Let's see. What do we got in the chat?
Jim's Pat. What is this? Jim Pat's Lose. Oh, new subscriber. Thanks, man. Appreciate for coming out.
Welcome to the channel.
We do this every Wednesday, so stop on by, ask some questions. If Washington beats the Cowboys, do you think they'll win the NFC East? Well, I don't think they'll beat the Cowboys. No, I don't think. It was good for them that they beat Las Vegas last week. I like Heineke. Brett Favre says he likes Heineke. That's a big deal. But no,
he was interviewing him on NFL radio on the radio. I heard it this week.
I think football team's a good little team. I think their defense is coming around. Heineke is not terrible. They have offensive weapons. Gibson's looking more healthy. McLaurin. I think they're a nice little team. Dallas is just too much firepower on both sides of the ball. I think Dallas wins the division, even if they were to lose to the football team this week. Sorry.
Jim, I'm going to take the opposite stance here. I think the Washington football team is going to beat the Cowboys this week. In fact, they are my favorite bet at +5 this week. I think they're going to beat them, and I think they're actually going to win the division. I think they're really underrated as a team. They may not look good on paper. They might have lost Chase Young, all that stuff, but they grind out these wins, and they beat the Bucs. They crushed them, and then they should have beat the Packers on the road. Then they beat the Panthers. They won this past week as an underdog also. So the rest of the schedule for them is all NFC East. They got Cowboys, Eagles, and the Giants. So obviously these next 5 weeks is going to determine for them whether or not they're going to win the division. I think they're a better team than the Eagles. I think they're definitely a better team than the Giants. I think these 2 games with the Cowboys, this game with the Cowboys is going to determine a lot. I think if they win this game, which I think they will, I think they have a really good shot at winning the division. I looked at the odds this morning for the NFC East. I think Cowboys were minus 120 to win the division, and and WFT was like plus 175 or 200 or something like that. So even Vegas thinks it's like pretty much a coin flip at this point. Who's going to win that division? They're not giving
trying to get in on that Cowboys bet.
Yeah,
for having they have a 2-game lead in the division, right?
I don't know.
I think they're 8-4. Yeah, I mean, I'm all in on 2-game lead plus. I mean, minus 120.
Are they? Let's see here. 2-game lead. Yeah, they have a 2-game lead in the division right now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think this game this week is going to determine a lot. So we'll see. But I really
Definitely
like
gonna be a good
watching
one
this week. Yeah. All right. Thanks for the question. Thanks for joining the channel. Like Chris said, we are here every week. Let's see here.
Next game, Cardinals
next game.
Bears.
Yes, Cardinals Bears. Kyler makes his return to the field and plays like Kyler. Rushes the ball, throws the ball, multiple touchdowns, back to his Kyler doing Kyler things. The Bears looking like the Bears, playing awful, looking like the Bears. This game was on the scoreboard a lot closer than it actually was in the game. I think they ended up winning by 11 when Cardinals were basically crushing them the whole game. So tell me about this game.
Yeah, Kyler Murray was QB1 on the week. Pretty impressive considering he had 123 passing yards. That was pretty shocking to see. James Conner, like absolute touchdown machine. He scores again. Running back 5 in standard leagues, running back 10 in PPR leagues. Guys like probably one of the most valuable draft picks this year in fantasy football. You know what? Here's another funny stat. This one killed me. James Conner, who we've talked about, how many weeks in a row has he scored a touchdown? I don't even know. It's like
every week.
Every week, and sometimes multiple touchdowns. He still does not have as many points this year as Derrick Henry.
Shows you how good Derrick Henry is.
I know, right? Yeah, Derrick Henry was averaging more points per game than Jonathan Taylor is right now.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry's having an absolutely dominant year. I would draft Derrick Henry next year over Zeke, and it's not even close.
Oh well, yeah. Derrick Henry, I think, is a top 4 pick, maybe even the first overall pick.
Even at that age, I guess we're not worried he's slowing down. I'm worried Zeke's slowing down. I'm not worried Derrick Henry's slowing down. He's a man.
Yeah.
James Conner was also their leading receiver. I don't know. Guy does it all. He's amazing.
Yeah, he was. He had 36 yards receiving, and DeAndre Hopkins at 32 for 2 catches.
Yeah. So Hopkins is back in the lineup. Name recognition and all, man. I can't rank him as a wide receiver 1 the rest of the year. I just
traded him away in Dynasty today.
Yeah, saw that. That was a good trade for you, I think. So Hopkins is back. I think you have to play him the rest of the year unless you're loaded, but not going to be ranking him in the top 12 like you typically would see. He's definitely fallen off a bit here. As for the Bears, Dave Montgomery keeps on rolling, 140 total yards and a touchdown. Disappointing game from Darnell Mooney, but I'm putting that on Dalton. Andy Dalton looked like dog shit in this game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, not worried about Mooney too much. He's still a wide receiver 2 on the year. He's wide receiver 24 in PPR. So rolling with Mooney. Should see Allen Robinson back this coming week, but I don't think that hurts Mooney. If anything, it takes a little attention off of him.
When is Justin Fields coming back?
This week, already named.
Oh, he's a starter this week?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. I like that. I like to see that. They're playing Sunday night against the Packers. I like to see him on national TV. Yeah, man. David Montgomery is, I don't know what it is, man. Last year he was so good down the stretch, and then this year coming back off of injury, he's so good. He's just so much volume on that team that I think he can win you a league. I mean, if you have David Montgomery on your team as your RB2, you're looking solid right now going into the playoffs, and he could easily win you a league, especially with the schedule that they got the rest of the year. So I definitely love David Montgomery.
Yeah, man. Cupcake schedule and his volume is off the charts. I'll say he doesn't have the ceiling that some of the running backs do, but as an RB2, it's like set it and forget it. I don't know what more you could want besides a team that can't pass the ball and doesn't really want to do a running back by committee. David Montgomery,
which is kind of surprising. RB2. Yeah, which is kind of surprising because when David Montgomery was injured this year, Khalil Herbert played really well. I'm surprised they don't use him more.
Yeah, you would think they would get him, 7, 8 carries a game. What did he get this game?
He had 4 carries for 16 yards. Nothing fantasy relevant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, they love to lean on Montgomery when he's healthy. Yeah. So there's been I remember we talked about it a couple of times. There was a couple games when Montgomery was the only back with a carry.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna bring up a name we haven't talked about all year because I own him in a couple dynasty leagues, and I was like kind of excited that
I was actually just about to ask you about him if we're talking about
Cohen.
Oh no, that's not what I was going to ask you about. Never mind.
Who are you going to say?
I was going to ask you about Cole Kmet, but never mind.
Oh no, Tariq Cohen, man, he is like not that far removed from having an RB2 season in PPR, and he tore his ACL last year, but ACLs are like they're like 9-month injuries. So he was in training camp in the summer, went through training camp, and the last thing I remember reading about him was his like knee tightened up on him, and then Matt Nagy said, "Oh, we'll just start him the year on the IR because he wasn't really able to practice at full speed." Uh-huh. And then here we are, week 14, and the guy hasn't taken a snap yet. So he must have had like a unsuccessful ACL surgery or like a major setback because NFL athletes.
The last news I see on him on Roto World is August 31st of 2021.
See, I told you he just disappeared, dude.
Yeah, they placed him on the PUP list, and we haven't heard from him since.
He went to go play Squid Game.
I guess. Where is he? Yeah, he was dynamic in the passing game.
Yeah. So anyway, enough talking about a guy that has 0 fantasy points this year.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Cole Kmet. What's your outlook on Cole Kmet? Maybe not for this year, but for future.
I don't know, man. I didn't like him as a rookie. I feel like was he the top tight end in that class? I think so. Mm-hmm. That was just because the class was so damn weak, man. Yeah. If he's nowhere near a Pitts or Freiermuth or I'm just not that excited about it. I mean, it's hard to get excited about a tight end that's not tied to a QB of relevance. And
yeah, I can't see him having good fantasy relevance in the years moving forward. If you own him in Dynasty or something like that, I just can't see him with Justin Fields making an impact. I don't know. I mean, Jimmy Graham is still getting catches. And
he had a touchdown recently.
He had a touchdown in this game.
Oh, there it was. I knew I saw it. Cool. Well, yeah. Bears look like crap. You're right. This was not an 11-point game. It was like a 21-point game. So,
yeah.
On to the next.
Are we off of real quick back to the Cardinals? Are we off of the Rondell Moore, Christian Kirk, AJ Green train now that Hopkins is back, or are we still thinking we can play them in a flex position?
You just don't know which one to play on a weekly basis. Before their bye, it was Rondale. He had 1 catch in this game. I don't remember what Christian Kirk did, but it wasn't anything all that inspiring. So, no. I mean, this is just it's Kyler and James Conner and Hopkins. That's it.
Yeah.
And Chase Edmonds comes back this week, so muddies it even more. Yeah, I'm off all the receivers except Hopkins.
Okay. All right, let's move on to our third game that we're going to talk about. The Los Angeles Chargers do the Ravens a huge favor. They go into Cincinnati and straight up beat them down. There was a moment in the game where the Bengals looked like they could have made a little bit of a comeback. I think they had it down to a 1-possession game, and then they just kind of blew it in this game. It was a surprising game for me. Like I thought the Bengals. I don't know. I don't really understand the NFL. They crushed the Steelers. They crushed the Ravens. The Ravens crushed the Chargers, and then the Chargers go into Cincy and crush the Bengals. I don't really get it, but yeah, I mean, good game from them. They needed that win after looking not that great over the last month and a half of the season. So good win for them. They're right in the thick of the playoff race in the division and the wild card. So good win for the Chargers. What do you see in this game?
Yeah, big takeaway is Joe Burrow's health. He had a finger injury, and his offensive line is doing him no favors, man. They lived in his lap all game. I think Burrow's fine. I'm not going to say he's fine. I think he's going to play. But I don't know. I'd like to see how this is going to affect him. He has a plus matchup this coming week against the 49ers. So with T. Higgins clicking, Jamar Chase, and Boyd had a nice game. You'd really love to play Burrow, but if that finger is going to swell up and bother him, I don't know if we're playing to get into the fantasy playoffs, right? So what I'm most against this week is playing any player that has the opportunity to like
donut,
right? Can't have it, not right now. So pay close attention to those practice reports on Burrow, see how he's throwing the ball. Another cool stat I ran across is did you realize Jalen Waddle is now having more fantasy points than Jamar Chase this year?
Has he really?
Yeah.
Dude, I know Jalen Waddle catches like 10 balls a game, but I didn't realize he caught up to Jamar Chase.
Yeah. So let me see. PPR, wide receiver rankings. Jalen Waddle's wide receiver 10. Jamar Chase is wide receiver 11.
Yeah, that offense has switched around a little bit to people realizing that Jamar Chase is actually pretty deadly in the passing game and actually double covering him to now because of that, T. Higgins is blowing up. So it's kind of weird that, I mean, it's not weird. It's just kind of the NFL where earlier in the year, they didn't really believe in Jamar Chase and he was burning people left and right and catching the ball down the field. And now it's kind of shifted over to T. Higgins. So that's just how defenses kind of have adapted to the Bengals.
Yeah, T. Higgins started slow this year, but now, so he has the same fantasy points per game as DJ Moore, who's had a really nice year, and Michael Pittman, who's had a breakout year, right? I mean, we hear all the time, oh, Pittman's breaking out, but you don't really hear that about T. Higgins, right? He's same exact points per game as Pittman, and then T. Higgins has more points per game than Terry McLaurin, who's seen as an elite receiver, DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, Calvin Ridley, and the man Hunter Renfrow. So he's outproducing all of those guys that I just mentioned in points per game, and not much talk about it. He's kind of just quietly going about his business. So, I doubt anyone's selling T. Higgins in Dynasty, but I think he's a buy high in Dynasty because there's not much chatter about him. He's kind of just quietly having a really good year.
Yeah. Joe Mixon doing Joe Mixon things, pretty solid, 19 for 54 for a touchdown with a touchdown. I think he's must start every week, all year.
Yeah, no matter what. He's running back 3 on the year. So yeah, if you drafted Joe Mixon, you probably got him in the middle to late of the second round. And he's RB3. So good job. You struck gold on that one. And we'll see. I'm interested to see, who gets I guess Mixon over. Let's compare everyone to Zeke for next year's value. Yeah, I think Mixon will probably be higher.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I have on the Bengals. As for the Chargers, Mike Williams continues to be the most confusing fantasy player of all time. Yeah. Has another big game after multiple duds over the past month or so. He's wide receiver 15 on the year. His partner in crime out there, Keenan Allen, all the way up to wide receiver 8 after his 2 TD performance. Keenan Allen, I feel like, the name's there, but I still feel like he's underappreciated. He's in that class over like the last 4 or 5 years with Hopkins, Tyreek, Mike Evans, Julio Jones. And, I feel like he doesn't really get the credit because he's boring, right? Yeah. I mean, Keenan Allen's a very boring player. He doesn't really have highlight level plays. He doesn't score 50-yard touchdowns. He's just, 12 yards a catch, Keenan Allen.
He was obviously, at the tail end of Phillip Rivers' career, he was his favorite target pretty much and had PPR, was a PPR machine under Phillip Rivers. And we didn't know what he would be like under Justin Herbert, but it seems like his production has pretty much stayed the same. He catches a bunch of balls for right over the middle for intermediate routes. He never really goes deep and catches a few touchdowns every now and then. And, he had 2 touchdowns in this game, which is, I think, the first multi-touchdown game of the year, if I was to take a guess. And, like we said, he continues to produce double-digit fantasy points every week. He's a must start every week, except maybe this week because he has COVID now. So if you own Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams also has COVID, so if you own both of those guys, pay attention to the news this week because they are both vaccinated. They both do need to get a bunch of negative tests before Sunday to be able to play. So they do have a pretty juicy matchup this week against the Giants. So pay attention to that. It would really suck if you need a win and Keenan Allen's one of your main receivers or Mike Williams is one of your main receivers and they don't get to play this week. So have a backup plan there. I guess my backup plan would be Jalen Guyton, Joshua Palmer, one of those guys.
Yeah, man. I was gonna say how bored is James Bradbury going to be guarding Jalen Guyton? But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I could. If Mike Williams is out and Keenan Allen is out, do we have to start talking about like we don't start Herbert?
Yes. We have to start talking about it.
Depends who your second quarterback is, right?
Yeah.
So
you have to think about it.
So Herbert is. Let's see. Let's talk about this real quick. So Herbert's QB2 on the year. If Mike Williams is out and Keenan Allen is out, and you own Taysom Hill, who are you starting?
Taysom Hill.
Wow. Me too.
I think if they're both out, you're starting Taysom Hill. Now, if they're both out, are you starting Justin Herbert or an injured Joe Burrow?
Herbert.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he still has Eckler. I mean, he's still been playing great. Yeah, I can't drop that far down the list, but I think you do have to take it into consideration. Just because Herbert's got you here, it's all about the week ahead, right? So, yeah, that's going to make a lot of hard decisions. That's going to be the question of the morning on Sunday. What to do with Herbert if they're both out? So I'm excited to see how that plays out. Hopefully, they both get to play.
Yeah, I only own him in our 2 QB league, so he's a must start in 2 QBs. So yeah, I have no decision there. But in 1 QB leagues, you could obviously think about it for a second if Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are both out,
and you have someone relevant, like you're not playing,
Zach Wilson,
Jimmy Garoppolo, right?
Austin Eckler, what is he on the year now? RB2? No, you just said Joe Mixon was RB2.
No, 3. Mixon's 3.
Oh, and Eckler's 2?
Mm-hmm.
Who's RB1 right now?
Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, Jonathan Taylor. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, Jonathan. So, Joe Mixon, 199. Wait, I need to do PPR. 1 second. There we go. Joe Mixon, 225 fantasy points as RB3. Austin Eckler at RB2 has 35 more points than him at 260. And then Jonathan Taylor has 50 more points than him at 308.
Wow.
So pretty wide gap in the top 3.
Yeah.
But yes, Taylor, Eckler, Mixon.
All right. Do you have anything else from this game you want to talk about?
No, just that I just wanted to comment, Eckler's been super solid all year. And I just think that people are reaping the benefit of having him, but I feel like he's still an underrated name. I think people don't realize quite what they have with him, especially in PPR formats. He's like an elite weapon and should be drafted as such next year. He's an absolute lock first round pick.
Yeah, if you were drafting towards the end of round 1 this year, you could have snagged both Eckler and Mixon and been crushing it all year.
And Taylor.
Or Taylor, yeah.
Yeah. So I think, the end of round 1 was the place to be, because if you were early round 1, you had landmines because you had CMC, you had
Henry,
Saquon, you had Zeke,
Kamara,
Henry. Exactly. Yeah. It hasn't been good. So it doesn't always matter where you draft. Sometimes it's just lucky to be at a certain position. And this year it looks like the money position was around the Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, where you got any of those 2. So probably picks like 8 through 12 are the money spots this year.
Yep. Which is why snake draft is stupid.
Yep.
Playing auction leagues, guys.
Yeah, we'll do an auction show before football drafts next year. We'll do one in the summer, like July or August.
All right. Yeah. Let's move on. Do we have any questions in the chat? No, nothing in the chat. Okay. Let's move on to the Detroit Lions winning their first game of the year on absolutely atrocious defense by the Minnesota Vikings on the last play of the game. Goff throws it to Amon-Ra St. Brown to win the game when the defensive guy was literally playing like 15 yards off for some reason and just didn't come up and make a play. I don't understand why. It doesn't make sense to me, like why coaches don't tell them, hey, if you're going to be beat, just pass interfere or do something, live for another play. Like, I don't really get that, but they did it. They let the guy just go to the end zone, turn around and catch the ball for the win. But the Vikings are going to do Vikings things there, I guess, and lose the game. Congratulations to the Lions. They still have the number 1 overall pick going into next year at the moment. But to be completely honest with you, Chris, and I want your opinion on this, they're better than the Texans, right?
I hope so, because I have a decent wager that the Texans would finish with the worst record in the NFL this year.
And I think they will. I think the Lions have another win in them. I don't think the Texans are going to even sniff a win for the rest of the year. So we'll see. But the Lions are pretty solid, from like a fantasy aspect. They play hard.
If it wasn't for an act of God, they beat the Ravens.
Yeah, that's true.
That should be 2 wins, and they were in a couple other games too.
They were touchdown underdog in this game. They win the game outright. Jamal Williams, pretty good game replacing DeAndre Swift for the week. What's Swift's status? Is he coming back this week, or is another Jamal Williams week?
Yeah, I think he's back, but let's keep talking and I'll look it up.
Okay. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 10 for 86 and a touchdown. TJ Hawkinson doing TJ Hawkinson things, 4 receptions for 49 yards and a touchdown. Good game overall fantasy for the Lions. And this is kind of what we talked about at the beginning of the year. They're going to be behind in a lot of games, throwing the ball a lot. They get good fantasy production. So it's not like owning the Lions in fantasy is like the worst thing in the world. I mean, not Jared Goff, but like their skill position players is not the worst thing in the world.
Mm-hmm. So I just looked up DeAndre Swift. He did not practice today. It was said that he's improving, but still considered a long shot. So Jamal Williams looks like he'll get another start. Looks like Swift will have a doubtful tag. So fire up Jamal Williams again. He had a serviceable game. He didn't do all that great, but he's fine. He's a back end RB2 or flex play. So, Amon-Ra, I think they have a nice little player there. I mean, I think he's kind of like a Robert Woods light type player, shifty little slot guy, reliable hands.
He had 12 targets this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's a nice pickup this week. I wouldn't be dying to start him, but he could do worse. Only in PPR formats, please do not play him in standard. TJ Hawkinson has very quietly slid up to tight end 3 on the year. He was kind of having some bum games here and there, but and even had a goose egg at one point. But so even with a 0 in one of his games this year, he's tight end 3 on the year. If you drafted him, it was probably around tight end 5 in your draft. So got a nice little profit with Hawkinson this year. On the Vikings side, death, taxes, Kirk Cousins finishing in the top 8. Guy's freaking automatic. I love Kirk Cousins.
The Vikings are probably my favorite fantasy offense because they're very predictable when it comes to their offense. Yeah. They're a funnel offense. They go to whoever the running back is, Cook or Madison, whoever's healthy.
I have a nickname for him.
For who?
Auto Madison.
Auto Madison, exactly. It's either Madison or Cook at running back, and then they either go to Jefferson, Thielen, or Tyler Conklin. So when Thielen goes down for an injury,
that tight funnel that you talked about just got tighter. So I
don't think so though. I think KJ Osborne is a good replacement for Adam Thielen, and I think he's fantasy viable this week.
Yeah. No, a small click up for Osborne and Conklin this week, but I think it's a bigger click up, as we saw when Thielen went down in this game. They're just going to force feed Justin Jefferson the ball. But this is the kind of offenses that we love. We don't want offenses where 5 and 6 different players have 3 receptions, 4 receptions.
Yeah.
Like the Ravens and teams that spread the ball around. We want teams that focus in on their best players, like the Vikings, the Chiefs. When they're having a Chiefs game, shove it down the throat of Hill and Kelsey and Clyde. So we love it. And I think this, Thielen being out, he's going to be doubtful this coming week. I think he might even miss the week after that too.
Mm-hmm.
So all in, obviously you're playing Justin Jefferson, but I think there's he can probably be ranked as tight end 1 or 2 the rest of the way. And Madison, as if he already wasn't a must start, I think he's going to have even more volume with Thielen out.
I saw Cook had a limited practice today.
Dude, I didn't read it because I was getting ready for the show, but I read that he had a torn labrum, and then his most recent injury was the tear of the other labrum, and that it's torn, but he thinks he's going to play again and like soon. so
he's playing with 2 torn labrums. Is that right? Is that what you just said?
I mean, I read it on my phone as I was like getting ready for the show, so I think so. Wow. That's wild, man. He's like bionic. But yeah, so Madison, it looks like we're gonna have Madison again this week. But with Cook back on the field, man, that was a little shocking. I thought he was almost certainly going to be out, this coming week.
He was gonna be out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I thought they were going to kind of like sit him out until they decided if they were in the playoff hunt or not, and then just say, let's sit him out. But kind of a bad break for those Madison owners that thought they had a RB1 the rest of the way. You might not, but fire up Madison again this week. I really doubt Cook will play this week.
No, I don't think he's gonna play this week, but he might be back in time for the playoffs next week.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see here. Justin Jefferson had an incompletion in this game. I didn't even see that play. He had a throwing play. I guess so. He's a beast. 11 for 162.
So in PPR, so this is confusing me, right? In PPR, he's wide receiver 2. Why is it just me? Am I watching like the wrong Twitter feeds and news? Why is no one talking about how good Justin Jefferson is this year? They just expect it. I mean,
Minnesota. I don't know.
Last year he was wide receiver 6 on the year, and it was like the second coming of Christ. And now he's wide receiver 2, and it's like, duh. We expect that.
Yeah, I think it's because last year he was making more
splash plays,
like more explosive plays, more highlight plays, and this year he's just a solid receiver. I think that's the reason why.
Yeah, man. I can't. I'm trying. Yeah, I guess for Dynasty, he's my wide receiver 1, and I'm trying really hard to see who I could rank above him. And I just don't think I can put Jamar Chase there.
No, I would rather have Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean, CeeDee Lamb's probably up there too, but yeah, Justin Jefferson's pretty unrivaled Dynasty wide receiver 1 for me right now. So yeah, my theme of the show so far has been players that are really good, but I just feel like they don't quite get the love as being like absolutely top end elite.
Yep. All right. I got nothing else from this game. Let's move on to the Ravens and Steelers game. Ravens go in as a 4-point favorite in this game and lose the game outright. They score a touchdown at the very end. Lamar Jackson to Sammy Watkins to make it a 1-point game, and John Harbaugh decides to go for 2. They draw up the perfect play to go for 2. It's an easy walk-in 2-point conversion, and Lamar misses the throw by a few inches. Andrews, I've seen him make tougher catches in his career, so it's kind of disappointing that he couldn't reel it in and score. Really ugly game overall. I think it was 13-7 at halftime or something like that. Let's see here.
The Steelers had 3 points going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was 10-3 going into the fourth quarter. Somehow they get 17 points in the fourth quarter. I don't really know what they were doing on defense in the fourth quarter. Ravens lose Marlon Humphrey for the year. Huge loss on defense.
Patrick McCarry.
Yeah, Patrick McCarry is hurt on offensive line. I don't really know who we're going to be running out at cornerback this week. It sounds like Anthony Averett and possibly Jimmy Smith or somebody like that, but it is not looking good on the back end of the Ravens defense.
No, not at all. I mean, this is such, as most of you know, Rick and I are from Baltimore, Ravens fans. This is just such a weird time to be a Ravens fan because we're leading the division. Also could have won this game for an absolutely demanding lead in the division. This team we're absolutely so decimated by injuries. And I know the players and the coaches are going to walk out to that podium and say, yeah, we're injured, but we have to go about our job every day. Man, it has to be draining because this is not like 7 or 8 injuries. This is like 20. We're just absolutely decimated. It's almost to the point where like, we just can't keep. We don't have warm bodies to put in that know the playbook at this point. So
yeah, that's the reason why John Harbaugh saw they 1-for-2 in this game is because they didn't have enough cornerbacks just in case if they had to play defense in overtime. They didn't have enough cornerbacks to run out there. They're going to end up running out like Devin Duvernay or something at cornerback or something like that.
Yeah, I guess there must have been so we lost Humphrey, but I thought that Tavon Young and Averett and Smith were all still playing, but I know they all came into the game with an injury designation. So they must have just been hobbled like so bad. You saw in the fourth quarter, the Ravens held Pittsburgh to 3 points until the fourth quarter. So I think in the fourth quarter, the injuries to the corners caught up to them, even though they were still playing. I think they were really hobbled. So I think that definitely went into Harbaugh's decision to go for 2. Me personally, I was against it. My dad's satellite TV went out, so I was actually on the phone with him the whole fourth quarter almost, talking him through the game. And then the last drive, we kind of both agreed. We're like, man, I hope we just tie the game and go to overtime. Since we were dominating the whole game, I just want more time. I think we'll come through. But I've gone back and forth on it 100 times by now. I don't think there's any right or wrong answer. I mean, both sides just have a leg to stand on. But what are you going to do? I drew up the perfect play. And you know what? I'm tired of hearing people say, you got to block TJ Watt. The play was designed to leave him unblocked. That's the whole reason he was unblocked is why Andrews was wide open.
Yep.
So that's the design of the play. Sometimes you don't block players on purpose. So enough of the Ravens fans saying, I can't believe the offensive coordinator wouldn't block their best player. Like the whole point is like TJ Watt comes free, but you float a pass over his head for a touchdown. So anyway.
All right. Before we get into the fantasy aspect of this game, let's take this question in the chat from Trey S. Welcome. Thanks for the question, Trey. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. We do this every week. He has 2 questions. The first one is Russell Wilson or Joe Burrow this week. And the second one is Michael Gallup or Jerry Jeudy in full PPR if Debo sits. Well, the first one's pretty obvious for us. If you've been listening to the show, I think Russ against the Texans is a must start compared to Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with that. I think Burrow's game might be closer, so he might be more inclined to have to keep throwing. Russ, I was actually debating this myself earlier. The Seahawks should beat the Texans pretty handedly, but my thing is they don't have a running back to run out the clock. I mean, Seattle just can't run the ball this year, and they don't have anyone worthy of it. So I don't really think they're going to stop throwing because they can't. Who are you going to run the clock out with? Travis Homer? DJ Dallas? You can't. So
Another
yeah,
thing that I will say is that I watched every minute of that Seahawks 49ers game last week. I had a pretty nice size bet on the Seahawks, so that worked out. But the Seahawks, Russ looks healthy again. He looked a lot healthier in this game than he has for the last like 3 or 4 weeks since he came back from his finger injury. So against a Texans awful defense, I think my answer here is Russ.
I'd say he's a lock for 2 TDs, probably going to get 3. Yeah, I mean, they don't typically, I don't like to play quarterbacks with a really bad game script like this, but I'm going Russ just because we don't know about Burrow's finger. So Russ, both of us say Russ on that one. And then your second question, Gallup or Judy in a full PPR if Debo sits? Okay, so Debo's not part of the question. You're just saying if he's out, who should you play? Gallup or Judy? What do you think, Greg?
I don't know. That's a tough question. Gallup on one hand is playing against a pretty porous Washington football team secondary, and then on top of that, on the other hand, Judy has a pretty plus matchup against the Lions. I don't know. That's a tough question for me. I probably lean a little bit more towards Judy, just because he's been playing pretty well since he's come back from injury, and Gallup is still the number 3 receiver in that offense. What do you think?
Just said it right there. So
yeah.
Sometimes I think it's best to just not overthink it. You play the number 1 receiver on a team, which is Jerry Jeudy, over the number 3 receiver on another team.
Yeah.
So I do think it's close. I'm not saying it's a strong lean either way, but Judy's against a pretty bad defense, and you never know. I mean, if Cooper has a Cooper game, CeeDee Lamb's going to get his. I mean, Michael Gallup's not a guarantee for anything, but at the very least, you said you're in a PPR league. Judy's been getting the volume, so go Judy.
Yeah, I agree. So we both agree here. Trey, thanks for the question. We're going to go with Russ and Judy if in those questions. Obviously, if Debo plays, play Debo because the guy is an absolute monster. All right, back to the fantasy aspect of the Ravens-Steelers game. Go ahead, Chris, take it away.
Yeah, so for the Ravens, Lamar, man, super pedestrian. I want to see your thoughts on this. It looks like he is wanting to freelance before the play even develops. It's like he has in the back of his mind, I really kind of want this play to break down so I can get outside the pocket and use my legs. And I think that because he's taking so many sacks the past couple weeks is that he almost wants there to be like mayhem in the pocket and then break out and either use his legs or hit a big play downfield. I've seen way too many like film breakdowns this week of receivers just running absolutely stellar routes, getting wide open, and Lamar's looking at them and like not even throwing the ball. So there's something going on in the back of his head that, he's locked into, wanting to run or he's thinking about something too hard. I don't know what it is, but you can just tell by watching him that something's not right. Typically, he sees the play through for 3 or 4 seconds and then he uses his athleticism. It almost seems like he's not doing that. So, I just want your take on that before I keep going.
So my take on it is that I'm sick and tired of him holding the ball on first and second down and taking a sack, thinking he can make a play. I say it every week. Just throw the damn ball away on first and second down. If the play breaks down and you don't see it, just don't take a sack. I would rather take 2nd and 10 or 3rd and 10 as opposed to like 3rd and 17 or 2nd and 17. I understand if you want to try to do it on 3rd down, make a spectacular play to get the first down, whatever. If you take a sack, it doesn't matter anyway. You're going to be punting the ball. But on 1st and 2nd down, he just seems like he's holding the ball too long and taking sacks. And it's just getting on my nerves that somebody is not drilling it into his head to do the Teddy Bridgewater thing and do the correct thing of managing the game and throwing the ball away instead of taking that sack. And like we keep seeing it, like he just keeps he keeps running around and trying to make these Superman plays, and this just kind of chucking it up to Mark Andrews. Like, I don't like it, man. I just wish it was more, they just actually ran the plays a little bit better. And I get it.
Rick, I don't know if you can hear me, but producer Mike's in my ear saying that we lost you. Okay. He's back. You're back. Never mind. All right.
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I heard everything you said. I think Mike just lost you for a second. All right, cool. It's minor technical difficulty, but we're back. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I have like a sneaky play for fantasy defense.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the Cleveland Browns this week. Lamar is holding the ball way too long, like you said. He's trying to break the pocket way too often. So I think Cleveland's
Cleveland's favorite in that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cleveland. I mean, I don't see any way they don't have 3 or 4 sacks. So probably an interception or 2 as well. So I like Cleveland's defense. A little spoiler alert there. Okay, back to the Ravens. Freeman is like far and away our best running back now. 97 total yards and a touchdown. Latavius Murray only had 2 carries this game. He had a really nice reception that he had, but they're very obviously leaning heavily on Freeman. I think he's a pretty nice back end RB2 play, top end RB3 kind of guy rest of the year. PPR leagues, I think he's a good flex play. So whenever you can be a part of this Ravens rushing attack, and this is kind of the first time all year it's not been a complete cluster in the backfield, and they very obviously give the load to one guy. I mean, you got to jump on that. So Freeman's looking good. Last comment on the Ravens, super concerning that Rashad Bateman had 1 target and no catches. Mm-hmm. I think that he's going to be dropped in some fantasy leagues. What's your take on if he's a pickup?
No, I don't think so.
No. You think he's a third passing option?
Clearly the third passing option, and there's a definitive gap between Mark Andrews and Marquise Brown. Even it's Andrews and then gap, then Brown, and then big gap, Bateman.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So just be ready to see that. I think that Bateman's going to be cut in some leagues after throwing up a 0. So just, kind of analyze your bench. If you have some people that are, just ho hum on your bench, you maybe take a flyer, throw Bateman in there, see if he can bounce back. Maybe there's an injury. But yeah, way talented of a player, but, coming off a big dud game. So,
tell me about how good Deontay Johnson is, because he is amazing.
Well, he didn't really do shit till the fourth quarter until Marlon Humphrey got hurt.
Well, okay. Let me take back what I just said. Tell me how good Deontay Johnson would be with a capable quarterback. Let's put it that way. Imagine if
Deontay Johnson would be Devontae Adams-esque with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. He is so good, man. Like, why can't we draft a receiver like that? I don't get it.
Yeah, he was a 3rd or 4th round draft pick. Yeah. He's a wide receiver 7 on the year. Dude, I'm a little bit kicking myself. I made in my big money league.
And you traded him.
Traded him for TJ Hawkinson. Week 2, week 3. Yeah. I had my tight end was Gronk. It was the week that Gronk got hurt, so it was week 4. I think Gronk did really good the first 3 weeks, and then Gronk went down. So Deontay had kind of a slow start, so I traded Deontay straight up for Hawkinson. And I mean, I guess Hawkinson's tight end 3, so I'm not regretting it that much, but it still kind of stings a little bit. Anyway, yeah. Deontay kind of owned us in the fourth quarter. I want to say he was probably the sole reason Pittsburgh won. Yeah. Big Ben, I guess, had an all right game, but we weren't pressuring him, so we made it pretty easy on him. We only had 1 sack all game. The Steelers had 7 sacks.
It's easy when you're a statue of a quarterback and the defense allows you to be a statue in the pocket. It's just no pressure whatsoever.
Pretty frustrating, not gonna lie. Yeah, the Steelers couldn't really get a run game going, but they couldn't, used Najee Harris in the pass game to offset that, and that was working for them pretty well. So that's about all I have on this one, man. This game was exhausting to watch.
Mhm.
It was a bummer of a loss. Being a division game, conference game hurts that much more, but I can't really complain too much. The Ravens have won like 3 or 4 games that they shouldn't have won. So this is just karma, even things out a little bit.
All right. Before we move on from this game, because I'm tired of talking about it because it was disappointing. Let's answer this question in the chat that we got. Mike, welcome to our podcast. If you haven't joined the channel, please subscribe. Me and Chris do this every Wednesday. He says, let's see here. He says, I'm in a huge pickle. I'm 10-2 in second place. If I lose, I could drop to 5th. I have Jalen Hurts on bye on Superflex with Herbert as my starting quarterback. I have Austin Eckler, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jamar Chase, Renfro, Mark Andrews, Gronk, Debo. My bench, I have nothing, all dead and on buys. I could start Kirk or Tim Patrick at Superflex.
Dude, where you been? Kirk Cousins is
no, I don't think he means Kirk Cousins.
Oh, Christian Kirk.
I think he means Christian Kirk. I think he can't start a quarterback at Superflex because he has Hurts on bye.
Well, I would say the first thing I would do is check to see if
any
starting quarterback on your waiver wire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he says we have a median where you get 2 extra wins if you make the median. I have potential if the median is on.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, we know how that works. We play a lot of sleeper leagues. So yeah, my first thing would be, if there's any starting quarterback at all, and I'm talking about even if Jake Fromm is there. So Jake Fromm is starting this week for the New York Giants. So I can't see a situation where Jake Fromm wouldn't be available. So hopefully you have some fab money left. Okay, you just comment, I need a trade for a QB, and Jimmy G is available. The guy said depends on Burrows. And I could trade for Jimmy G or Matt Ryan. I don't really know who each of them play this week, but
Jimmy G's at Cincy, and Matt Ryan is
at Carolina.
I would rather have Matt Ryan in that situation, probably.
You know which one? So since it requires a trade, I would first see if there's any on your waiver wire.
He says Jake Fromm is picked up. So if Jake Fromm is picked up, he says no QBs are available, so he has to trade for one.
Okay, so here's which one I want to trade for. Whatever owner gives me the better deal. So you just need a quarterback, right? At this point, if we're talking about you could start Fromm, then we're not going to be picky, right? So don't handcuff your team going into the playoffs because you have bye problems right now. You're in second place. The worst you could do is 5th place, and that's if everything goes wrong, right? So don't overreact. Trade for Jimmy G or Matt Ryan, whatever one you have to give up less, and you have a quarterback for the week. Problem solved. Let me see. Okay, this is a dynasty league because he's talking about, okay, I have 4 firsts in 2022. I offered Christian Kirk and a first for Jimmy G, and he said maybe.
What? I guess he's
playing a tough league, dude. He has you by the balls, so he knows he knows that you need. You know what, man? Just don't play a QB at your Superflex.
Then he has to play Christian Kirk or Tim Patrick.
Okay, and he said he could. Okay, now he said he can trade Christian Kirk for Davis Mills. Go ahead, dude. Do it.
I would do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, trade Christian Kirk for Davis Mills. If you have to throw in like a 3rd or 4th round pick to make it happen and put it over the top, get the deal done. Like, don't just get it over with.
Yeah, especially if you're playing in a league that second place is a bye next week, and that's a really important thing. I would do whatever you can to get a quarterback in that second Superflex position.
Yeah. So I think
a quarterback is going to score 9 times out of 10 is going to score higher than Christian Kirk or definitely Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick doesn't have a role in that offense.
So just real quick. So you're saying that the guy says like maybe he won't even do a 1st round pick for Jimmy G. Let's just talk about game theory here real quick. Jimmy G is not going to be a starting quarterback next year. So you're literally going to use him for one game and give up a first round pick. Sounds like a terrible idea. You could give away Christian Kirk, who's worth next to nothing. He's worth like a third round pick or a fourth, and get Davis Mills and get 60 or 70% of the production of Jimmy G, and you give up literally nothing. So don't overthink it. Don't overreact. You have a ton of draft picks next year. Don't blow it just because you think you're desperate this week. Make a small amount. Sometimes the best trades are ones you don't make the blockbuster. Like you just make a small trade and you get something to hold you over, and it works way better than selling the farm, and you'll still be just fine. Yeah. So I don't know. Think about that. Let me give you an example. So in one of my leagues, in my dynasty leagues, I had 4 running backs on the IR. Rick's in this league too. And I'm like freaking out because I have 4 great running backs on the IR. And I was like, well, I'm a top contending team. I need to fill in something. So I was like trying to package up these running backs that are on IR for like a top end running back, like Nick Chubb or some Dalvin Cook, something like that. And then finally, I couldn't get a deal done. And I was like, well, screw it. I'm just going to trade way less of capital and get James Conner. And he's been working out just fine, if not better than someone else. So sometimes you don't need to make the huge trade to get by. Do something on the smaller end and get it done. Just, figure it out tonight, and don't be afraid to, go get Davis Mills, dude. Trade Christian Kirk and like a third round pick for Davis Mills, and then go make the playoffs.
I agree. Okay, let's see here. I hope that answered your question, Mike. He didn't. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go back to our recap here. We're going to move on from the Ravens-Steelers game. We're going to talk about the 49ers-Seahawks game here. Pretty wild game here. There's a lot of turnovers and a lot of trick plays in this game. Seattle ends up with a win, 30-23 at home, as a 4-point underdog, 3.5-point underdog. Russell Wilson looks like he was back and healthy, like I said earlier in the show. Pretty good game from him, and got T. Lockett and DK Metcalf finally involved again. And then on the other side of the ball, 49ers looked a little dud, but huge game from George Kittle. So tell me about this game, Chris.
Oh, yeah. Maybe this is the last game Jimmy G plays. They got to make a switch, right?
No, they don't.
You don't think they do?
No, they're going to play him. They're going to play him the rest of the year.
I don't know, man. I think
it's too late in the season to make a switch like that.
I just can't see Shanahan just riding Jimmy G into a playoff-less year if they're 6-6 right now?
Yep.
I can't see it. I mean, it's like career suicide almost to like at least try. Like, if they lose another game but are still in striking distance of the playoffs, you have to at least like appease management, right? And try. I'm not saying I think Jimmy G is played fine. But dude, this recipe that they have going on right now is just not going to cut it long term, where they basically hide Jimmy G, pound Eli Mitchell into the dirt, and play a little bit better defense. So that's what they've been doing the past 4 games. They've been getting away with it. I just don't think. I don't know, man. I think I would give Jimmy G one more game, but if you lose, I think you have to try something desperate.
That's so unfair though, because he might not have Debo or Eli Mitchell this game.
Who?
Jimmy G. Like, he might not have his best weapons.
I mean, he's still going to have Ayuk and Kittle.
Yeah.
I don't know. Eli Mitchell, he's like Mr. Master of Volume. Must start every week just simply because of the volume he's getting.
He's hurt now, though.
Concussion, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think he's going to play this week.
Yikes. So who's up?
JaMychal Hasty.
Jeff Wilson, or do they call on Sermon?
No, it's JaMychal Hasty. That's the next man up.
Okay. Trying to follow the 49ers depth chart is like forget about it.
Yeah, but the thing is that they're such a good running team that if whoever their running back is, you have to probably start them in fantasy.
Yeah, agreed. So yeah, let's follow the practice reports, and you got to start a 49ers running back. It's a must. So
it says that he underwent an MRI on his knee and is also dealing with irritation in his knee in conjunction with his concussion. So he has a knee and a concussion. So I doubt he plays this week.
Okay. All right. Well, Hasty or Jeff Wilson, whoever they say is going to be the guy, that's who you want to ride. George Kittle, fully back, 5 touchdowns in his last 5 games, picking up the slack when Debo's out. I kind of like the 49ers offense too. They're kind of predictable because, like, remember last year, like Debo and Kittle were out and Ayuk went off, and like vice versa. They would just like whoever were like the 2 best guys playing, like usually had a really good game. Seattle, we already talked about this a little bit. No running game whatsoever, aside from the Travis Homer trick play. I don't know, man. It's weird to see the Seahawks with a crappy-ish defense and no running back, because that's not who they are.
You mean you're not an Adrian Peterson fan?
No. I'm off him. Tyler Lockett's warming up again. He had a really red hot start to the year. He's been pretty good the past month here. Once again, DK Metcalf not super involved. DK's number wide receiver 21 on the year. Lockett's wide receiver 22. They both have been below their draft capital. Most of that's to do with Russ being out, but I think just in general, you didn't hit home with any Seahawks this year, not a one. Russ, Carson, DK, Lockett missed on all of them pretty much.
Yep.
That's all I got on this game. You got anything else?
Dwayne Eskridge.
Love him, dude. Have him in a couple of dynasty leagues.
Yeah.
24-year-old rookie out of a small school. What could go wrong?
Yeah. I don't condone playing him in season long this year, but if you have a chance to possibly scoop him up in dynasty, he's not a bad pickup in dynasty.
He's my 2 favorite dynasty ads right now are D. Eskridge and Josh Palmer.
Okay.
So
yeah. Russ isn't going to be a Seahawk next year.
No. What's his contract sitch?
I don't know exactly what his contract situation is, but I'm pretty sure. Well, okay, so let me put it this way. I'm not going to say Russ isn't going to be a Seahawk. It's either going to be Russ or Pete Carroll is not going to be a Seahawk next year. One of those 2 are going to be gone.
He's just tired of him.
I just think they just have run their course and it's time to move on. I think Russ would be a good fit in New Orleans. I think he would be a good fit in Pittsburgh. Like, these kind of teams would be good fits for him next year. But if he is a Seahawk, I don't foresee Pete Carroll being there. So that's my take on the Seahawks moving forward.
Yeah. Would kind of be cool to see Russ get a fresh start and see what he does somewhere else.
Yeah.
See if he was kind of a system guy or can carry any team. I think I said this before. Russ on the football team makes sense to me too.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to our next to last game that we're going to talk about, the Sunday night game, Broncos and Chiefs. So Chiefs were a 10-point favorite in this game. They won the game by 13, covered the spread. Pretty boring game, I guess. I don't know if boring is the right word. Broncos had it seemed like they could have backdoor covered this game for the entire second half, and they just never scored. I don't know what's going on here, but the Chiefs went from not being able to stop anyone earlier in the year to not giving up points anymore. I don't really know.
Same as last year.
Yeah, I don't really know what happened there.
Same exact script as last year. If you remember, last year their defense was Swiss cheese at the beginning of the year. I just remember in fantasy, you always wanted to play like someone against the Chiefs because they put up a lot of points and they couldn't stop anyone. So they were having shootouts, the whole first half of the year, 3 quarters of the year. And then something clicked at the end of the year, and they were just sack machines and turnover machines. So, yeah, they're back to it. And when the weather gets cold there in Kansas City, they dial up the pass rush. They get turnovers. So same exact script as last year. I don't think it's a fluke. It's just who they are.
Yeah. My biggest takeaway from this game was Javonte Williams.
We've been screaming for it all year.
So
no offense to Melvin Gordon, but for the sake of all things good in the fantasy world, could you just please like roll your ankle?
Not play the rest of the year.
Yeah, Javonte Williams, have written here, league winner. If Gordon were to miss significant time the rest of the year, we've been begging for this kind of usage all year. What do you have, like 180 total yards or something like that?
Yeah, he just looked so hard to tackle. Like he was breaking tackles left and right.
Yeah, probably a top 10 dynasty back. I don't see how you can rank him outside that. He's young. He came into the league as a 20-year-old. I think he's 21 now. So 3 years younger than Najee Harris. So yeah, love Javonte Williams. I'm glad he's going to get to eat here. The Broncos' schedule is so good down the stretch.
Yep.
This could be absolutely league-winning potential. I'm a little jealous because I have Javonte Williams only in one of my 9 leagues, so I'm having FOMO with him right now.
You're still playing him though if Melvin Gordon comes back, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like after this game, he's got to at least be like the 1A. Typically they just rotate drives, but I feel like it's got to be like Javante's 60 to Gordon's 40, and that's enough for me to make him a RB2 if he wasn't already. What is he for the year? Let's check. I'm just curious. He never really gets that full workload, but yeah, he's RB 19 on the year with a split workload. It's unreal.
Yeah. That is pretty unreal. What do you make of the Broncos? Are they any good? As a team?
I bet the over on their win total. I like their brand of football. They held Patrick Mahomes to no touchdown passes. It says a lot, right?
Yeah.
So on the road, no touchdown passes allowed to Patrick Mahomes. So ran the ball really well. It's just they don't have a QB, man. We've said it over and over again. If Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson was in Broncos orange this year, I think we're talking about a Super Bowl contender. Hold on. Yeah. This guy Mike just popped back in the chat. He said, I'm back and they accepted my trade. That's awesome. That's great. Getting trades done real time here, man. Tell us, type in what the trade is and we'll talk about it real quick. That's cool, dude. Thanks for taking the advice and best of luck to you this week. Cool. Well, yeah, I like the Broncos. I mean, I don't know where they are in terms of the wild card race, but I don't know. I don't know if I like that trade or not, but wait, what did he do? Okay, let's read this real quick.
Traded a lot.
I traded Christian Kirk, my first, second, and third in 2022 for Davis Mills. Wait, what?
I didn't say to do all that. I just said Christian Kirk for Davis Mills.
Oh, man. Holy shit, dude. Did you really trade a first, second, third rounder and Christian Kirk for Davis Mills?
I don't know.
Oh, wow. I hope I'm misreading that.
Yeah. That
anyway, best of luck to your I know he has 3 firsts left, but still you gave up a first, which is kind of a big deal in a super flex league. He said, is that why everyone is laughing? Oh, God.
We did not tell you to do all that.
They're all laughing at me, bro. What the fuck? Yeah, man. I mean, I hope you didn't hear us wrong. We said offer Christian Kirk and a third for Davis Mills. You added a first and second round pick. Oh, man. I hope you didn't hear us wrong, but we were pretty clear, right, Rick?
Yeah, no, he says, I'm just kidding. All right. Well, what was the real trade?
All right. Okay, enough trolling us, dude. You have me sweating over here. I'm hot. I'm hot. I'm sweating.
All right. What are we talking about? Oh, yeah.
On the
The Chiefs.
Broncos, if we like the Broncos, yeah. Last thing on the Broncos, Jerry Jeudy startable, Noah Fant barely startable, I guess. Cortland Sutton not only not startable, droppable. Get off the name of Cortland Sutton. He's droppable. He hasn't done shit in 6 weeks, so forget about it. Oh man, that was the real trade. Jesus. Okay. All right. You do you, dude. I hope you win this week.
Yeah, I hope you do too. I hope Davis Mills tears it up.
All right. Chiefs. Yeah, no touchdown pass for Patrick Mahomes. He did run one in.
No touchdown passes. Yeah, he ran one in. I think who scored the other touchdown for them? Did they have another touchdown? They did, right?
Had to have.
Daniel Sorensen had a touchdown.
Interception. I mean, defensive touchdown.
Okay. I had a defensive touchdown. Okay. Oh, that's right. Pick 6. Did you say something?
Hey, producer Mike, you're not on mute. I don't know if you know or not. Just letting you know. Let me see. Okay, so my big takeaway for the Chiefs is their 2 leading receivers were both running backs. Thought that was weird again.
Yeah, it's been kind of a weird year for Kelsey and Hill. It's been pretty boom or bust for them all year. I don't really get it.
Yeah. I think, I know this is a season-long show. Obviously, you're sticking with Hill and Kelsey. I think now is kind of the time to get off Kelsey in Dynasty, especially if you're not a front runner in the playoffs. I think you use the name to your advantage here and sell it to a top contending team to, move on from Kelsey. And, I think a great trade for Kelsey would be like Pat Freiermuth and a first-round pick, something like that. So yeah, I know we'll do some dynasty shows over the off season, but yeah, the Chiefs have had such a weird year, and you called it right, Rick. They're very inconsistent on their hits from week to week. What's Patrick Mahomes' rank for the year? What do you think it is?
QB 5, 4,
6.
Yep. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was only a few weeks ago that he was QB 1.
Mm-hmm. He's dudded out a couple times. Anyway, yeah, that game was kind of boring. Not much to go through fantasy wise there. My last comment was that looks like even though Darrell Williams had a really nice role when CH was hurt, they put Clyde pretty firmly back in the RB1 spot. But I do think if you're desperate, Darrell Williams is a decent flex play. He's still getting some run.
Would you? Do you think that's going to be the case moving forward, or is it just it was just because they're easing CH back into the lineup?
I don't know. I mean, Darrell Williams was so effective with him out. I don't think you can totally just move him out of the offense. But like, I'm not dying to play him in a flex, but I don't think he's not a Madison type handcuff.
Yeah,
to CH, like Madison is the Cook. I don't treat Darrell Williams like that to CH. I mean, he still has I don't know what his snap share was, but I bet it was around 50%. I mean, he's still in the game. And yeah, I'm still with it.
So that trade I made today for Hopkins, it was initially offered for Tyreek, and I said that I would accept it if he changed it to Hopkins, and he changed it to Hopkins. I was a little more reluctant to give up on Hill than I was on Hopkins.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Tyreek's younger and better.
Yeah. Is he younger?
Mm-hmm. Tyreek Hill's probably like 26.
No way.
Yeah. Maybe 27. Let's look it up.
Oh, he's 27. Okay.
Hopkins is 29.
29.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So I'm still. We were like very lackadaisical going through that game. I think me and Rick are both in shock about this trade that this guy just did.
Yeah, I'm still in shock about it. But
yeah, whatever.
He says, honestly, it seems like a bad trade, but I have 3 firsts and I get 2. I get second. Those picks are bad. lose a first basically for Mills, and he's a 1 week guy. I'd be happier if GVG, but I could only get Mills, so sometimes it's a high buy. Okay. Well, he has another question. He says Hubbard versus Atlanta or Devontae Freeman versus Cleveland in his flex.
It's a good question.
I'm going to go with Devontae Freeman here just because I know Chris doesn't believe it, but I think that Hubbard's not the guy in Carolina this week. I think it's Amir Abdullah, and I know Chris doesn't believe that, and even part of me doesn't believe it, but I think we'll see. But I think I'd rather play Abdullah over Hubbard. But in this question specifically, I'd rather play Freeman over Hubbard.
Yeah, I mean, I think Freeman's the play here. And I think the Carolina back will come down to game script. If Carolina, Atlanta's defense is not strong. If Carolina can grab hold of that lead, and Hubbard's like he's a bigger back, grinder back. He's not really a scat back. So if Carolina can get the lead against Atlanta, I think Hubbard will have a pretty nice day. But I think Freeman will be fine regardless. So go with Freeman there, bud. Freeman and Davis Mills for the win. Let's go.
Yeah. One other thing is that even if you're starting a Carolina running back, they will not score a touchdown because Cam Newton calls his own number at the goal line every time. So just know that there is no touchdown upside for any Carolina running back out there.
Yeah, you'll need like a 25, 30-yard touchdown from Hubbard to get on the board probably. Yeah, but he had a couple of those earlier this year. He's a really dynamic back. He was supposed to be RB1 in the class this year. He had 2,000 rushing yards 2 years ago and then just completely dudded in 2020.
I liked him in college. I watched him a lot, betting Oklahoma State a lot, and he was good. But yeah. Okay. Good luck with that. We both say Freeman for that question. Thanks for all the questions, Mike. Good luck this week. Hope you make the playoffs. Let us know how it goes next week. All right, Bills Mafia. Let's talk about the most exciting game of the week. Not. It was a crazy game. I'll tell you this much. Watching these offenses go up and down the field in 60-mile-per-hour winds was pretty interesting. Mac Jones threw the ball three times maybe. I don't know.
Three times. He had a 66% completion percentage.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest with you, as frustrated as I was with the Ravens, I was even more frustrated with the Bills this week. I had a nice size bet on them. I just did not understand it. Like, why? So to me, it was pretty clear by the middle of the second quarter that Bill Belichick was just not going to throw the ball. How could they not stop it? Like, it just didn't make sense to me. Like, stack 9 in the box. Like, do whatever you got to do. Stop the run. Don't let them get down the field. The Bills had multiple possessions starting on the plus side of the field. Downwind. They're just not throwing the ball. When they were downwind, they should have been throwing the ball every single play. I didn't get it. I'm sorry to say this to you Bills Mafia fans out there, but I thought it was a piss poor coaching job by Sean McDermott in this game, which is surprising because I have a lot of respect for that guy. I think he's a great coach, but I thought he just simply got Bill Belichick. He just got simply outcoached in this game, and it just was a very disappointing game for them.
Yeah, man. This was so hard to watch. I mean, the highlight of the game was actually in warmups when Tyler Bass missed the 32-yard field goal by 30 yards wide right. That was pretty funny.
Damian Harris had a nice run in this game.
Yeah, he's hurt though. Did you see that? He left the game in the second quarter.
He had a hammy, right? A little hammy.
He was shaping up to have a pretty nice game, I think. And had a hammy, came back in, ripped off a huge run when he came back in, 20-some yards, and then he left the game and never came back.
Yeah. So they have a bye this week, so he might be back in time for the playoffs.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, hammies are tricky, so Ramondre Stevenson's a nice bench piece to have right now, and definitely, hang on to Harris because he's a beast, man. You got to play him if he's healthy. But yeah, man, this is like one of those trash can games. There's not much you can take away from it. Although I would like to make a gripe about the Bills side of the ball. Once I saw that it was going to be a really windy game and, they would probably try to run the ball a lot, Matt Breida has had a couple of good games in a row. In this PPR league that I was like, man, this is kind of I'm really, really, really thin on running back, and I had buys too, and I played Matt Breida, and yeah, he fumbled in the first quarter, and then producer Mike might know, but I didn't pay attention that close. I don't know if he ever saw the field again, maybe like a couple plays, but he definitely wasn't involved in the game plan. But it almost seemed like he got the start, or it was at least getting mixed in earlier in the game until he fumbled, and then they just put him in the doghouse. So thanks, Matt Breida, for nothing. I haven't played you in fantasy football in like 3 years. I play you one time and you screw me.
Really quickly, I know that the Patriots didn't pass the ball at all in this game, but I don't mind their pass receiving options, Bourne and Aguilar and Henry in the passing game. This was just a weird game. I think it doesn't mean anything, but I think in better weather conditions, when Mac Jones is back to throwing the ball, I like those passing options to have if you need a wide receiver 3 or something in Bourne or Aguilar.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't know what one to pick on a weekly basis because you have Jacoby Myers too, right?
Jacoby Myers too, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a toss-up. One of them is probably going to have a decent game, but I don't really know which one of them I'd go with. I guess Jacoby Myers out of default. He's getting a lot of volume, but yeah, I mean, I think they're all three serviceable. It's just you don't know which one's gonna pop off that week.
Yeah, I agree. Do you have any thoughts about the Bills side of the ball, receiving game, anything like that?
My thoughts here is like it's really showing that the Bills don't have a run game. I mean, we kind of knew that they didn't. Moss wasn't really effective earlier in the year. Singletary hasn't been effective in 2 years. Breida was hot hand for a couple games there. It's killing them, man. I mean, I don't remember exactly how the NFL draft played out, but I remember that there was a lot of draft analysts that were hoping that the Bills took, they either had Travis Etienne fall to them or draft Javonte Williams or take another back. But it is like blatantly obvious that this is their number one need. They do not have someone that can shoulder the load and, take some pressure off Josh Allen a little bit. The carries that they're giving, Singletary and Moss at this point, they're just empty carries. They're 2 to 4 yard gains. They hope. All right. And there's no upside to these carries. They're not breaking any big plays. There's nothing exciting about it. So the Bills absolutely must sign a game changing running back. How about Tony Pollard? Let's trade for Tony Pollard. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, I agree. That's another thing in this game. Like, fine, your running backs aren't working. I mean, Josh Allen, run the ball, do something with your legs. Like, if you're not going to be able to complete passes, I think the Bills just got thrown off by the weather and just didn't know what the correct game plan was. And Belichick, obviously being the experienced coach that he is, did know. So it is what it is. I don't really have anything else about this game. It was obviously a very fast game. There was a lot of running in this game, but we'll see this rematch again in Foxborough in a couple weeks, I believe. So I believe the weather conditions will probably be a little bit better than they were. No, maybe not. I don't know. It could be snowing, but yeah. So we'll see how that division plays out. I will say this though: if the Patriots are in the Super Bowl this year, I'm just not going to watch. I can't watch it anymore. I'm sick and tired of it. If it's a Patriots Bucks Super Bowl, I'm going to go play golf. Fuck this shit.
Yeah, man. They're just not exciting to watch, and I'm so tired of Bill Belichick's face. I'm with you, man. We were so excited for the changing of the guard, right? Tom Brady's moved out. Here comes the Titans. Here's the Bills. Ravens are hot. Browns. They're kind of a Super Bowl favorite every now and then. Chargers are coming on. The Chiefs. No, anyone but the Patriots, man. I'm with you. Let's all go play golf.
Yeah.
I'll meet you in Texas halfway.
Let's go. All right. Let's
I'm gonna take this question that Mike had.
we had one more question. He said, what was the question? Okay, he said Alexander Madison or Leonard Fournette.
No, it's two of the. So
Well,
he
says
he has Madison, Fournette, and Mixon, and he has to play two. Man, I don't know what kind of league you're in. You don't have a flex spot? Because if you have any flex, there's no way you have a receiver flex that's better than one of those three running backs in your flex.
He said it was a super flex league. I guess maybe they only have a super flex. I don't know.
But anyway, my answer is Mixon and Madison. Fournette plays the Bills this week. I know Fournette's been hot, but the Bills' run defense is top 3 in the league, at least for fantasy purposes. They don't give up many points to running back. So
they sure as hell didn't look like the third best rush defense on Monday.
I know, but if I have to bench one of those three, Madison, Fournette, Mixon, I'm personally going to bench Fournette, but it's close, right? But I don't think you can bench Mixon, and Madison basically produces the same as Dalvin Cook does. So yeah, I'm benching Fournette, but play him in the flex if you can.
Yeah, if you have a flex, I would play all three. Okay, let's quickly run through waiver wires, and then we'll wrap up the show. If you guys have any more questions.
Oh, the code, dude.
Oh, God, it's the second week in a row. I forgot. Jesus. Mike, you got to pop in my ear and tell me to say the code like 10, 15 minutes in the show. Bonus code for this week is SNOWBALL, SNOWBALL. Use that bonus code for additional entries into the contest, please. But yeah, I forgot about the code. Again, 2 weeks in a row. Sorry, Mike. Mike said he forgot about it in his show yesterday.
I'm gonna make a shirt for next week, and I'm gonna wear it, and it's gonna say
bonus code.
Let's say the bonus code after the second game.
But yeah, anyways, the bonus code is SNOWBALL. We will, if you use that for bonus code, we will give you some additional entries into the draw. All right, waiver wire, Chris. Do you have any streaming quarterbacks you like this week, not named Taysom Hill?
The only two on my list are Taysom Hill and Derek Carr. What do you got?
You know what? Raiders suck. I'm tired of the Raiders. They're not good. I don't know if you can play Derek Carr. Yeah, they're just not good.
I just saw some QB news.
Well,
this might be big for super flex leagues, actually. That guy Mike, if you're still on the channel, you might get a free quarterback real quick. Mike Glennon is going to be named the starter over Jake Fromm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
They said he had a brain injury.
It says he's likely to be cleared to play and will start.
Oh.
So super flex leagues only, obviously. But if you're desperate, like this dude Mike in the channel was super desperate, just traded the first
Mills now. I don't know if he wants to do that.
Dude, I'm gonna have a nightmare tonight. Not because I'm in the middle of watching Squid Game, but because that guy just traded a first, second, and third round draft pick for Davis Mills.
That's funny. Okay, yeah, I know I don't have anyone else besides Taysom Hill. I guess maybe in a pinch you could go to like Teddy B against Detroit. I don't mind that. But who do the Raiders play this week, by the way? I don't really know who they play.
They
play the Chiefs. I don't know, man. Chiefs defense is pretty good.
It's solid.
Arrowhead. Yeah.
The only reason I listed Carr was because Derek Carr kind of owns the Chiefs. He plays really well against them historically. They already beat him once this year, and I think that game's like the third highest over/under of the week.
What do you mean they beat him once this year?
Didn't the Raiders beat the Chiefs earlier?
No, the Chiefs blew them out.
Really?
Yeah.
What am I thinking of?
I don't know. Wasn't that a Sunday night game that they blew them out?
My bad. I was off then. I thought the Raiders, maybe that was last year.
No, the Chiefs went into Vegas and crushed them earlier this year.
Okay.
I think so, right? I believe so.
Well, we got to find it, but we'll keep talking about it until we do. Yeah, look up their schedule. Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they
You're
won.
right.
They won big.
Might be. Yeah. So what were we gonna say?
I don't have anything else at quarterback this week for streamings.
Same. Yeah, Tannehill's off bye, so you might have that as an option if you're in a single QB league that someone dropped Tannehill last week.
Yeah.
So that's another option that you might not have been used to seeing on your wire all year.
We didn't talk about the Titans at all this show because they're off last week. What's up with them? Is AJ Brown coming back? Is Julio coming back? Like, what's their wide receiver situation?
I think for this week,
and their running back situation for all.
I know they're a disaster, dude. I think this week it looks like Julio's back, but AJ Brown's not.
Okay.
I don't think AJ Brown's he can't come back till week 15. I don't think.
Okay.
Because of IR, but Julio, I think he's designated for return. I would say I check his practice report, but I don't think Julio Jones practices ever. Oh, he did practice. He practiced today on a Wednesday. Look at that. Okay.
Well, he's been off for many weeks now, so I guess he needs to practice.
So their schedule down the stretch is really good for wide receivers, but I don't know, man. I don't know if I could live with myself if I played Julio Jones in the fantasy playoffs.
You could play Nick Westbrook-Ikhine.
That's true. He's been pretty good. Scored a couple touchdowns. Yeah, but about their running backs, I'm torn, dude. I feel like
they both had over 100 yards the last time we saw them.
I know, and that's why I feel like anyone that's like has a really, really firm stance on this. Why? Like, what do you know that like the rest of the world doesn't know?
Yeah, exactly. What do you know that would put Foreman ahead of what's the other guy's name? Hilliard over Hilliard.
Well, the only thing my gut tells me to lean Foreman just because of the volume. So like Hilliard broke a really long run. So here's the pros and cons, right? Hilliard's the receiving back of the two.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the more explosive, faster back. Foreman is the workhorse back. People thought he was going to be pretty good a couple years ago, tore his Achilles, just making his way back. So I think Foreman has the better pedigree, got way more volume in the running game than Hilliard did, but Hilliard's the playmaker, right? So he's going to make the catches and break the long runs. So I don't know, man. I'm totally stuck. I guess on a PPR, I'd go Hilliard. In a half PPR or standard, I'd go Foreman, but I don't have too much conviction with either because I hope my answer is neither.
Let me ask you a question. So I actually have to make this decision this week. Would you rather play? So these are my options at flex this week. Dontrell Hilliard, Cole Beasley. This is a full PPR league.
Not Cole Beasley
or Amir Abdullah. Probably Hilliard, right?
Hilliard, pretty easily for me.
Okay. All right, cool. That's what we're going
I keep trying to give Cole Beasley one more week, and he keeps not doing anything.
Yeah.
So one more thing about the Bills game I had written down. I forgot to talk about it. Wouldn't this have been the perfect Cole Beasley game to like give him like a reverse or two, give him a screen? I mean, he's the line of scrimmage guy, run after the catch, it seems like a perfect game for a slot receiver.
I agree. I keep saying it was a bad game plan for them. Yeah. I just think that I think we just got to throw that game in the trash, to be completely honest with you. I don't think we need to take much away from it. But I think moving forward, especially this week, Bills have a juicy matchup against the Bucks, porous defense, in warm weather, in good weather conditions. So I like the Bills fantasy aspects this week. I like the Bucks in the game, but I think this week you should fire up some Bills for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. Diggs and Knox for sure. I can't get there with Cole Beasley. He hasn't done anything, man. He's just I feel like I'm just playing him because of his name if I were to play him at this point. So
yeah. All right, let's talk about some running back pickups this week. What do you got?
Yeah. I guess I haven't like an obvious one if he is available on your waiver wire. Michael Carter. If you are a playoff team and you may have had a team that dropped Michael Carter, if there's no IR spots in your league, he is designated to return next week, week 15, week 1 of the fantasy playoffs. So love Michael Carter. They seem to be lost without him of what to do in the backfield. Tevin Coleman isn't it. I bet they can't wait for him to come back. So love Michael Carter. Devonta Freeman is another nice add if he's available in your league. And then other than that, I just have the Tennessee running backs if they're available and you're desperate, but I'm not like looking to start either of them.
I'll play a little devil's advocate there. Michael Carter's okay, but I don't think he's going to produce like he did earlier this year just because Zach Wilson just straight up doesn't know how to throw to a running back. All he does is throw to wide receivers and tight ends. So just be wary of that. He's going to probably have to get all his production on the ground. I don't mind Tevin Coleman for this one last week before Carter comes back. I mean, if you're in a pinch, like I'm actually starting Tevin Coleman in a couple leagues because I have to. Yeah, I mean, you could do worse, I think. But anyways, like I said before earlier in the show, I like Abdullah more than Hubbard. If you are in a pinch there, you could pick one of those guys up. If for some reason Ramondre Stevenson is available, the Pats are on a bye this week. Harris, like we said, pulled a hammy, so you could pick him up. One last guy I'll mention. I was a dummy last week, and I didn't realize that Miles Sanders was playing last week. I thought he was out, and I played Boston Scott. Yeah, he had an okay game, but he got hurt at the end of the game, and after he got hurt, Boston Scott got most of the work there. So I don't know what Miles Sanders' situation is going to be. I think Philly is on a bye this week, so it won't be until next week. So if you have Boston Scott available, and you need to stash a running back for the playoffs, it's possible that he could be starting next week with Sanders hurt. But that's all I really got as far as running backs go.
Yeah, they are on a bye, and I don't know the severity of Miles Sanders' ankle injury. But yeah, Boston Scott or Gainwell. Kenneth Gainwell had a pretty nice game too. He was pretty involved. So yeah,
and then Jordan Howard could come back too. So
I know that team's a disaster.
It is. Wide receiver, KJ Osborne's my number one.
Yeah, I have a different number one than you.
Okay.
Russell Gage, my number one.
I like
he's had a couple nice weeks in a row. They just don't have anyone to throw to, man. Kyle Pitts has kind of flamed out a little bit.
The defenses have just learned to just guard him and make someone else beat him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the last 3 weeks, week 11, 12, and 13, Russell Gage is wide receiver 17 overall. So yeah, I mean, I think he's that's in standard. Oh, he's probably better in PPR. Hold on one second. Oh my God, dude, he's wide receiver 8 in PPR.
Last how many weeks?
3. Week 11, 12, and 13, he's wide receiver 8 in PPR leagues.
We're not going to see Calvin Ridley the rest of the year, right? You think?
I don't see why we would.
Yeah, I don't see that either. Yeah, Russell Gage is a good pickup. That's Chris's number one. My number one's KJ Osborne. Couple other names out there that I like. Devontae Parker came back last week. He looked pretty. That was my 2. Yeah, he looked pretty good. I think Jalen Waddle's the alpha in that passing attack, but I don't think you could do that bad with Devontae Parker. He seems to have a good rapport with Tua. The Lions receivers are a little bit of a conundrum to me. Josh Reynolds and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, they're nothing great. They're not going to win you a league or anything like that. But I guess if in a pinch, you could use one of them this week. But that's all I really got.
Yeah, I'll just double down on your Devontae Parker call. Like that one a lot. His next 3 games are against Jets, Saints, and Titans, all who have porous pass defenses. So love Devontae Parker call.
And don't play any of the Giants wide receivers. avoid them like a plague. Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, Kenny Galladay, bench them.
Yeah, Kadarius Toney teased us 1 week by like absolutely going nuclear, and then you just disappeared.
Yeah. You have anything else for wide receiver?
Nope.
Okay. Tight end. You want to take the lead?
I just have two. Conklin. Yeah, Thielen out. So
that was my number one.
Yeah, me too. Love Conklin. You know, I don't think he's going to be widely available places because he kind of has been serviceable for most of the year here. But I think he's a pretty nice play with Thielen out of the lineup. So I like him a lot. And my number two is Ricky Seals-Jones. Thomas is gonna be out, it looks like. They thought he tore his ACL or MCL. He did not tear it, but they put him on IR. So Ricky Seals-Jones did miss last week. So you do have to pay attention. I mean, this is a little bit more of like a really deep play. But in actually two of my leagues as of right now, I'm hoping that I can start Ricky Seals-Jones. But he traveled with the team last week. He just didn't dress. But so pay really close attention. But if you're in a really big tight end pickle, which I am in a couple leagues, with some people on bye, my Dallas Goedert leagues, where Philly's on bye, I'm going Ricky Seals-Jones if I can.
Yeah, pay attention to that. He did have a limited practice today, so that could mean he could return this week. But if he is out, I do not mind I was calling him Jesse Bates, John Bates, for the Washington football team. When Logan Thomas got hurt last week, Bates had some catches. He had like 3 or 4 catches for like 50 yards. So I think no matter who plays, excuse me, and no matter who plays for Washington, I think the tight end is part of that offense. So if it's Ricky Seals-Jones, you could play him. If he's out, then John Bates is your guy. So definitely pay attention to that this week. One other name I had, he might still be available. He probably got picked up in a lot of leagues last week, and he dudded out last week. Is Foster Moreau. He has a nice juicy matchup against the Chiefs this week. They're not that great against tight ends. I don't think Darren Waller is coming back this week, so look for a nice little bounce back spot for Foster Moreau this week.
Yeah, I dig that one.
Alrighty, let's see here. What was the last thing? Oh yeah, defenses. Talk to me about some defenses here.
Yeah, favorite one of the week. It's probably a toss-up. I like Tennessee a lot. I like Denver a lot. Chargers a lot against the backup quarterback, and Packers. Like Packers a little bit less now that Fields is back. But yeah, Broncos, and pretty much all my leagues, I'm starting either Broncos or Titans.
Okay. Yeah, I had Broncos as number 1. Packers is number 2. Number 3, I actually had the Vikings. I think their Thursday night matchup, Pittsburgh going on the road, is not the worst matchup in the world. I think that's a pretty good matchup for them against a pretty, a Pittsburgh offense that's not that great. Like you said, the Titans is good. And then Saints. We talked about it. Yeah, the Saints is good against the Jets, but we talked about it earlier today in the show. Browns defense against the Ravens is a pretty good pickup. And I hate to say it, but I think that playing them 2 weeks ago, Myles Garrett and what's the other guy's name? Jadeveon Clowney. They had a lot of plays where they missed Lamar. And they were, kind of frustrated by that. So I think the last 2 weeks they've been focused in on trying to stop them. So I think they're going to get some sacks this week. So Browns against the Ravens.
Yeah. So a website that I trust a lot and I really like their product is Fantasy Pros. And Fantasy Pros has the Browns as a 5-star matchup this week. So they're on the same page that we are, that Baltimore has just been giving up points big time to defenses lately. Another one that we didn't mention, 49ers are quietly, their defense has been really solid lately.
So
And with Burrow,
I don't like
with
the 49ers. I don't know if I like the 49ers that much this week per se. Like if you're in a pinch, yeah, fine. Go ahead and play
but
them.
the rest of the matchups are fire.
Yeah, the rest of the matchups are fire. They got Falcons, Titans, and Texans in the fantasy playoffs. So if you have the ability to pick up the 49ers for the playoffs, pick them up. I also like the Dolphins for the playoffs. They have the Jets.
They have a great matchup next week. Yeah,
Jets, Saints, and Titans. So those are just some teams that I like. This is the time of the year, obviously. Stash a defense for the playoffs. Yeah, plan ahead.
Stash two.
Stash two if you want. Get rid of those like wide receiver fives that you aren't playing. So do your thing and stash those defenses.
Yep. So any more questions in the chat before we roll?
Nope. Does not look like we have any more questions in the chat. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. We will be here next week to help you get geared up for the fantasy playoffs. Hopefully you guys make it in the playoffs and are not sitting at home wondering what could have been. So hopefully you guys get in. Tune in next week. We will answer your questions for the matchups next week. Enter into the draw for the $500 gift card for Fanatics. Bonus code Snowball. Chris, you got anything else before we head out?
No, man. Just hoping for a bounce back week for the Ravens and the Bills Mafia. And talk to you next week. And I guess go Davis Mills. We talked some guy into trading a lot of things for Davis Mills this week. Yeah, so
we're gonna have nightmares about Davis Mills.
Yeah,
not the worst matchup in the world against Seattle with Jamal Adams is out for the year now. Who knows?
I really hope he throws 3 touchdowns.
All right, guys. Take it easy. We'll see you next week. And thanks for tuning in and subscribe to the channel, guys. Take it easy.
Peace.